Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is looking at the quadratic formula, which is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that divided by 2a. I'm going to break it down for you. But you use the quadratic formula to find the x-intercepts, or the roots, okay? What's another name for the x-intercepts? Roots of the equation and zeros of the equation, okay? All you have to do is plug in the values of a, b, and c. So I'm going to give you an example. What form do you think I'm going to give you the equation in that would make it easy for you to figure out a, b, and c? Standard form. Okay, so we'll look at an equation written in standard form. Okay, so this equation's written in standard form, which is what? What's the standard form of a quadratic relation? Yep, Leia? ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Because it's written in standard form, I can easily identify my a, my b, and my c. So what is the a value of this example, this equation? 5, good. That's the coefficient of x squared. What is my b value? Negative 4, don't forget the sign, good. B is equal to negative 4, and c is equal to negative 3. All we have to do is plug in these values into the quadratic formula, and you will find the x-intercepts like that. Using the quadratic formula, we're finding x. So x is equal to, okay, now this is where you have to be careful with the signs. X is equal to negative b. You have to include the negative sign in front of the value of b. What is my value of b? It's a negative 4. Okay, so it's negative, and then you plug in the value of b. What's going to happen to this negative 4? It's going to become positive. Good, but let's leave it like that for now. Plus, minus, and I'm going to talk about this, square root of b. What's b? So it's all of b squared. Okay, so that's going to become a negative, and negative is going to become positive. Minus 4. What operation is it when we have a number and a variable next to each other? Multiplication. So times a, what's a? Times c. No, isn't it a positive 3? Oh, sorry, it is a negative 3. I forgot to write negative there. Thank you. Negative 3. Oops, I didn't catch that. Thank you. Divided by 2 times a, and a is positive 5. Okay. So now let's use BEDMAS, and let's simplify this. Yes, so x is equal to this negative, and a negative becomes positive 4. Plus minus, I'm going to simplify what's in the square root. So negative 4 squared is what? What's negative 4 times negative 4? 16. Take away. What is 4 times 5? 20. And then 20 times negative 3 is negative 60. So it's going to become positive. Good. And this is all divided by, what's 2 times 5? 10. Let's simplify the denominator. So we're going to simplify the 16, take away negative 60. Let's make that 16 plus 60. So simplify 16 plus 60. Okay, because a negative and a negative is a positive. Now what is the next step? Add them together. What's 16 plus 60? 76. Okay. The next step in BEDMAS is find the square root. Okay, so now this is where we have to break it down. So it's 4 plus or minus the square root of 76. Do you remember why I said it's going to be plus or minus? A square root of a number can be a positive or a negative, right? Just like I showed you. As a side note here, square root of 25 is what? 5, okay? We know that positive 5 times positive 5 will give me 25, and I know that negative 5 times negative 5 will also give me positive 25. So every square root has an answer that can be a positive or it can be two negatives, right? So what's the square root of 76? So the square root, I'm just going to put a little side note here again. The square root of 76 is 8.72. So it can be positive 8.72 times 8.72, or it can be negative 8.72 times negative 8.72, right? So I'm going to have I'm going to branch this off into two parts. This is going to have two x-intercepts. Okay, so x is equal to 4 plus 8.72 divided by 10, and x is equal to 4 minus 8.72 divided by 10. Does that make sense so far? So what's 4 plus 8.72? 12.72 divided by 10. And 4 take away 8.72 is negative 4.72 divided by 10. Simplify both your answers. What's 12.72 divided by 10? We'll round it off to 2 decimal places. Approximately 1.27, and here x is equal to approximately negative 0.47. So I have two values of x, and those are the x-intercepts, because remember I told you at the beginning, you use the quadratic formula to find the x-intercepts.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.